And joining me this week is a golf fitness expert. He is the author and the owner of a golf fitness website called Golf Fit Carolina. His name is Bob Forman. He is a certified golf fitness instructor and is internationally recognized as a leader in golf fitness. Bob, welcome to Talking Golf with Gary.
Thanks, Gary. It's a pleasure being here.
So, Bob, for you, what came first? Was it the fitness or the golf, or a combination of both, or how did it all come about?
Well, I was a golfer growing up a little bit. Picked it up when I was in high school and played leisurely, I'll say. And then in school, I went to upstate New York, went to Cortland State, and
Hmm.
got a phys ed degree. Um, Took a year off, went back and got a master's in exercise physiology. And I always had the interest to kind of combine the two. And then in 2006, caught wind of this workshop down in Orlando, Florida, by the two guys, the co-founders of the Titleist Performance Institute, Greg Rose and Dave Phillips. And so I attended that 3-day workshop. And it was a wow moment for me because it, really changed the mindset of many folks and their thoughts about exercise and golf. Because before that, it was like oil and water, Gary. Like, you didn't do that because it was going to ruin your golf swing. But now we know it's a 180-degree turn, and we know that specific exercise, is really good for your golf swing. So I'd say it's about even.
Well, I know what you're talking about because I know as an old guy, when I was a kid, we never lifted weights or did anything like that. I played a lot of baseball in my time, and you just didn't want to screw around with your swing or anything. And then, of course, when I started playing golf, it was the same kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah. You didn't want to, especially weights. Oh my gosh, yeah, taboo. Don't lift weights; it'll just mess up your swing. But now we know that's completely wrong.
We certainly have come a long way, and I might be an interesting guy to talk to because I'm embarking. Well, I've been embarked on a weight loss journey. I've lost 80 pounds
Wow.
and started playing golf again just last October. And I got a long way. I still got a ways to go. I let myself go pretty good, Bob. Um, but now we're winding down in the season. There's a couple of months left here in the Northeast, and I guess in your area too. Though you can get a longer season than us, where you are a little bit down south. Um, what do we need to do to either stay in? We should be staying in shape all golf season, but what do we need to stay in shape for the winter and to get ready for next year's golf game? And how do we evaluate ourselves?
Yeah, well, the first thing you definitely want to do is try to get together with a credible golf fitness instructor and go through fitness assessment for golf. And basically, what that is it's like a 10 to 12 component, mini assessment component to help identify where your particular musculoskeletal deficiencies are. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when we say deficiencies, we're talking about muscle tightness, muscle weakness, imbalance in the muscle, because everybody's got them, Gary. I've been
No.
doing this since 2006. Yeah, everybody's got them, and I've yet to test anybody that passed the whole thing, and then that's tour players down to the junior level. But once you have that blueprint, that map of what you need to work on, now you can target specific exercises to correct those deficiencies. So it becomes a very time efficient program. And if you do like 1 to 2 exercises per deficiency and you do those on a pretty regular basis, you can make some nice improvements in a relatively short period of time And what that's going to do is it's going to help your swing efficiency. It's going to help you get into those good hitting positions that, you read about each month in the golf journals and what maybe your teaching pro is trying to get you to do. And it'll increase or get back your distance. And that's the king of golf, right? Everybody wants distance. I mean, you pick up a golf ball ad or a golf club ad, and it's all about distance and accuracy. But you can definitely get back the distance you had. And as important, or probably more important, is the fact that you will reduce and or eliminate those triggers that lead up to injury.
Now, as we get older, we do lose flexibility. We lose muscle mass. Is it possible to regain some of that back by exercise and staying in better shape?
Definitely. Yeah, we're all inflicted, I guess, with sarcopenia. It's called. It's the inevitable loss of muscle tissue as we do get older. And we haven't hit it yet, you and I, Gary, because it starts at the ripe old age of 30. And then when you hit
shot
50,
past that, Bob.
when you hit 50, boom, it takes off. It's about a pound of muscle a year. So the thing that you want to do is you want to get into some sort of resistance training program, strength training program. You don't have to go crazy. It's not a Arnold Schwarzenegger type workout. And you can slow that process down quite a bit, and you can get some of that muscle back that you may have lost, from the aging process. So, yeah, the answer is yes, you can get some of that muscle back. And flexibility doesn't have to go away. It's only because as we get older, we tend to become more sedentary. Muscles will tighten up naturally if you don't do anything. And then on the other hand, though, Gary, if you exercise, as you strengthen muscle, you also tighten muscle. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I'm not saying you shouldn't exercise, because exercise there's a lot of good benefits to it. But you got to stretch. That's the biggest thing that I run into with most of these golfers, any age really, is the lack of flexibility, range of motion. And, that's the biggest thing most golfers really need to work on.
And I think stretch is something that we neglect to do, even before playing around. Like I know I should get there early and warm up and hit a bucket of balls maybe or but it's just, let's face it, life is life, and we don't always have that opportunity. And so we get there, we do a couple of over the head stretches, swing the golf club a couple of times, and you're out on the course. And by most of the time, you're not comfortable the first couple of holes. You're really screwing up the first couple of holes. And then, sometimes mid-round you may be starting to get your groove because you're looser, I guess. How can we, is that a common problem from everyone? Because it seems to be in my group of circle of friends, let's say.
Yeah, it is. And, there is a percentage that will go through the routines and, do the stretches and stuff prior to the practice range or prior to their round of golf. But, yeah, I agree with you. It's long enough, the 4, 5, 6 hour round to kind of spend an extra, 15, 20 minutes to do some stretching.
Yeah.
So the answer to that question is stretch while you're out there on the golf course. I mean,
okay.
I've got, on the website there that you mentioned, I've got videos, and amongst those videos, there's one about, cart stretches you can do while waiting to hit your next shot. So there are a bunch of things that you can do before you start swinging a golf club, which is highly recommended just to reduce the potential of injury. But then, a lot of people, even those that do stretch before they play, they don't do any stretching during the round. And 5-6 hours, you're going to tighten up again. So it's important to also kind of maintain that looseness out on the golf course as well. And one of the big things that's getting a lot of attention now these days as well is, fascia release and foam rolling. And doing a lot of research on it. I mean, it's amazing that, we've had this fascia in our bodies since we crawled out of the ocean or whatever. And it's just now getting a lot of attention. And the reason is because when they did autopsies 6-7 years ago, they basically just cut through the stuff and didn't even think that it might be significant to the way we feel. Mm-hmm. But now they're finding a whole lot of evidence that this cobweb that encapsulates our entire body, and it's like a one-piece suit, can have an impact on the way you feel and the way you move. And when you do the foam rolling and you find these hot spots, and you will find hot spots or knots or trigger points, I mean, it's just amazing how much better you feel once you kind of release those areas.
It's fascinating stuff, and as you say, it's something new that we never even knew about in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, and I've been in the field of fitness now for 35 years. Never heard anything about fascia. It was always about muscle and bones and tendons and ligaments. And then, like, all of a sudden now, fascia is like the fashionable thing. And I tell you, it's legit. It really is. I've been foam rolling now for about a month, and I tell you, I can actually now look behind me in the car and stuff like that. And the range of motion and the flexibility has gotten better. And the aches, the little aches that kind of hang around and you don't know why you have them.
Right.
It could be because of these little trigger points that we all have.
Very interesting. I want to just jump back a second ago when you were saying about the exercise and the muscle, and it adds tight muscle as well as and you want to be flexible. In today's world, are some of these athletes, especially the professional athletes, not so much regular guys, but do you think that some of these guys are, now this is kind of a crazy thing, but do you think they're in too good a shape? I also do a baseball podcast, and the last couple of years, not so much this year, but a few years ago, the big thing was a lot of oblique strains and a lot of core issues and pulled muscles. And I just came to the conclusion that a lot of these guys were in too good a shape, or they were in great beach shape, but they weren't in game shape. Any thoughts on that? Do we overdo it at times, as far as on the professional level?
Yeah, I think so. And Rory winning the championship yesterday, I had actually placed him in that same group of maybe going a little bit too far with the workouts and the amount of weight that he was lifting. I mean, it seems like, you take David Duval there, who was number one for the longest time. Right. He got into some exercise, and then all of a sudden he fell off the face of the earth, although I believe and then Tiger, Tiger did a lot of he's everybody credits him for bringing kind of fitness into golf, but I think you can definitely, there's a window that you want to stay within in terms of how much you do, how much weight you lift and stuff like that. So it's safely, because once you start pumping the weights up, obviously the risk for injury goes up. But, to make a long story short, I think there's definitely a window of exercise intensity that you want to maintain. You don't want to go over that, and I think some do.
Yeah, it's really a fine line, and, I think it gets crossed a number of times. And I really think that Well, maybe I should ask you. Do you think that some of Tiger's injuries were a combination of his programs and just not enough rest and overwork and he always had sort of a violent type of swing anyway. Do you think that added to it?
I think Tiger is a poster child. There's a program out there called LTAD, Long Term Athletic Development, which actually started up in Canada with hockey, and it went to the PGA of Canada. But what they were finding, and I think this is very true, was that the kids that grew up playing one sport and one sport only all year round. Golf is a repetitive, one-sided activity that you do over and over and over and over again. So you use a particular set of muscle groups in a particular movement pattern. And so you develop, and maybe in some cases overdevelop those muscle groups.
Right.
I mean, in a perfect world, we should be taking a swing from the left side for every swing we take from the right side, just to keep symmetry within the body. But what happens when you play a particular sport all year round, and I think the reason why kids were doing that, because I think parents felt that in order to be competitive, kids needed to participate in that particular sport. But they would also develop a certain motor skill, develop certain motor skills based on that sport. And what they found in Canada was that, once these kids got to like 12, 13 years of age, they got bored, they got burnt out, and they wanted to go into a different sport, but they couldn't excel in it because they didn't have the motor skills. So what they do now is they take the younger kids and they develop all the motor skills: catching, throwing, striking, jumping, hopping, skipping, speed. And they found specific ages for boys and girls where they can really improve various skills. So if you're playing a particular sport like Tiger did, I mean, I remember when he was on Michael Douglas' show at 2 years of age swinging a golf club.
Yeah.
So, so here's a guy who grew up, eating, drinking, sleeping golf.
Right.
And, I think a lot of these players, you don't hear about it, but I think they have a laundry list of injuries that are based on the fact that they've done this one activity pretty much their whole lives. I mean, think about back in the day, Nicholas, Palmer, and all those guys. They grew up, they golfed in golf season, they did other activities and stuff like that. And you never really heard about injury rates like you do today.
Right.
So I think that's a big part of it, and the training. I mean, if the training, again, if they're overdoing it, your body's going to break down.
Right. Yeah, good point. I mean, Nicholas was, I think, an all-state baseball player as well, and was involved. He was a fisherman, and people might say fisherman, but he's throwing the rod if he's fly fishing, and that's a little different movement. So he's using different muscles there. So it is. And I think you're right. I don't think kids today play as enough different sports as they did when we were kids. I mean, I'm 66, and we played baseball in the summertime, and maybe golf when I got a little bit older, and basketball in the winter, and football, and all of that kind of stuff. So, of course, my muscles are paying for it today. So I sit here with bum knees and everything else, but I think that was the way. At least I made it to this age.
Yeah, but again, there are things that you can do to work on those aches and pains that you have. You just got to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, and you can definitely, work to fix, to alleviate that discomfort.
So, weight training is an okay thing to do now, but should it be in moderation, or should we should be concentrating more on light weights and repetitions versus the heavy weights? Is that a valid point?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, I think the important part of this whole thing is really identifying and correcting the specific deficiencies that you have.
Mm-hmm.
I think because if you just jump into a strength training program and you aren't aware of where your deficiencies are, you could be enhancing those deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point is like tight hamstrings, muscles in the back of the thighs,
Right.
which are significant for the golf swing because they attach to the hip, so they impact hip mobility. They also, if they're tight, can definitely have an impact on your lower back in terms of back injury, back discomfort, disc disorders, and stuff like that. So if you don't know your hamstrings are tight and you jump into a workout and you're working the hamstring curl machine to strengthen the hamstrings, as I said, when you strengthen a muscle, you tighten a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to tighten that muscle even further, and that's going to increase your risk of back issues. So I think the biggest key for most amateurs is just to really kind of, like I say, get with somebody and identify where those deficiencies are. I mean, it's not a difficult thing to do to fix them, but you got to put the time into it. Like
Right.
Bob Vila, you got to put the sweat equity into it. But and if you're really aggressive with the stretching on a regular basis, I mean, within 3, 4, 5 weeks, you can make a big difference in the way you feel and the way you swing the golf club. And then you can, at the same time, do some golf-specific strength exercises to help build up those particular muscle groups that are used throughout the golf swing. Yeah, but I wouldn't go too crazy with the weights and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, just something to keep your strength up, and it seems like to me the most important thing is to stretch and to get some of that flexibility before you even start on the weight. Is that a good way to start, perhaps?
Yes, definitely. Most of the folks that I start with, once I assess them, as I start them, most of them need the stretching and the range of motion. So
Right.
for the first 4 to 6 weeks, basically that's the routine. And then you can start to tweak the routine to start adding those golf-specific strength and balance exercises. And then the third component of that, Gary, is the power/speed exercise, because that's the stuff that's going to recruit the faster twitch muscle fibers that are responsible for quick, explosive movements in the golf swing. So, golf is the swing is 1.5 seconds. So that's all fast twitch muscle fiber, and those are recruited when you get into the power speed phase. But you got to do the flexibility and the strength first, so that you don't get hurt, and so that your body's better prepared to do the power speed exercises.
Yeah, we want to go right to that all the time. we want to get the 10 extra yards, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, even just the flexibility, range of motion, that alone will get you another 10, 15 yards down the fairway.
Yeah, without a doubt. Sure. Because
gosh,
you're going to be able to take that swing back a little more, and without a doubt. Are you a believer in free weights or machines or combination of both, or what do you recommend?
Well, whatever floats your boat, and whatever gets you to the fitness center to do the weights on a regular basis. I like free weights, because not only are you isolating a muscle group, but you also have to hold the weights in place that the machines do for you. So you get some ancillary muscle group activity when you do free weights. I mean, it doesn't matter which type you use, as long as you're consistent with it, at least bare minimum twice a week, ideally 3 times a week.
Okay. How important is posture to the golf swing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a whole nother talk show there.
Okay.
You know, we have an epidemic in golf, and it's called C posture,
Mm-hmm.
and it's characterized, by the bowing of the back at address over the ball, so the golfer looks like a C. And it's become an epidemic. I mean, it used to be just an older golfer's disease, but now, I mean, oh my gosh, the younger kids, just because of the electronic games and the cell phones and the computers, and it's just like everybody's into this rounded shoulder posture. They say the next healthcare craze, is that a good word? Well,
Yeah.
the next healthcare issue is going to be shoulders and necks, just because of what technology is doing for us.
Right.
So this rounded shoulder posture, I mean, it's going to follow you out to the golf course, and basically, it's going to, number one, first, it's going to reduce your ability to take the club back by like 30-40%, because you just can't rotate around a bowed spine as well as you can a straight spine.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for you to kind of make that good shoulder turn, that power move, again, that's always in the monthly golf journals, you're going to have to do something, and that's usually stand up in your posture. So you're going to have some dynamic posture. So that's going to mess up your golf swing, and it's just a nightmare. And yeah, I mean, technology is ruining our golf games, and I see a lot of this. Oh my gosh. And so what you have to do is you have to stretch the tightness, which is across the front part of the chest and shoulders, and you have to strengthen the weakness, which is between the shoulder blades. The rhomboid muscles, which connect the shoulder blades to the spine, become elongated and weakened. And so you got to strengthen those guys to pull the shoulder blades back into the midline of the body, stretch the front, so that allows those shoulders to go back to where they belong. But yeah, this rounded shoulder stuff is not good for your shoulders. A lot of shoulder impingement as well. And it can reduce the efficiency of your heart and lungs by about 30%, because it just crowds them out when you get into that rounded shoulder posture. So not good for golf, not good for your health.
Wow. And see, we wouldn't know that, just thinking I'm a little slumped over or whatever, and that we can know will help hurting our heart and everything else. Well, Bob,
Mm-hmm.
this is fascinating stuff, and we need more time than we have. But tell us a little bit about your website.
Yeah, thanks. It's Golf Fit Carolina. It's one F and one T, so it's GOLFIT Carolina. It's an educational website that I put together years ago. It's got a lot of educational articles on there, a lot of stuff on low backs and all that, because of the injury prevalence as well as other injuries. And I have a section called Golf Swing Physiology that talks about the physical deficiency correlations with swing faults. There's also videos of exercises. I have a video of the month that I send out, and if people want to get on the mailing list, it's all free. Just they can email me at bob@golffitcarolina.com.
And a YouTube channel as well?
I'm sorry, am I what?
A YouTube channel do you have?
Yeah, there's underneath the exercise of the month, there's a link to the channel. I don't know what it is.
No, that's okay. Everybody go to Golf at Carolina, and you can find the link there, and that'll take you right to Bob's YouTube channel and all his other videos, because we want everybody to watch all your other videos as well, so we can all hopefully get in shape. And as important as it is now, the big thing in golf, of course, is getting fitted for golf clubs and a golf ball and a putter. We should also get fitted for our fitness program as well, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Bob, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on today. And the site is Golf Fit Carolina. And anything else you'd like to plug, go ahead right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You know, everybody looks towards the external stuff to improve their game, but they really need to work on the mechanism that's swinging all that, and that's their bodies. So, yeah, have a look around the website. I do have a book that's called Functional Golf Fitness Training that covers the common deficiencies that I've discovered over the years and what you can do to correct them. So, yeah, they can check that out as well.
Terrific. And I'll be sure to check out your site. And as I try to rebuild this old broken down body of mine.
One step at a time. Sounds like you're doing good with the initial weight loss.
Yeah.
So keep it going.
Thank you. And I'll be back right after this.